spilling out and staggering in a square. There's lads and lasses falling about and a crackling in the air. Then around the dungeon doors, the shelters in a queue.
I used to live in this house here a long time ago. Now I live in Chelsea, just about a mile away.
It's what it is now.
I wanted a guitar so badly that I used to smell the Fender catalogue. I mean, and I know actually what it smells like, you know, as and the grain of the paper and everything else on those old catalogues with all the instruments in. You know, there's a schoolboy lust, absolutely, you know, the red Strat. And I ended up getting a sort of a German imitation, a very poor imitation, Hofner, which cost my dad £50, and then that was a lot of money. Big stretch for him, and I didn't have the nerve to ask him for an amplifier after that, so I just blew up the radio.
What about your technique, your guitar technique? If you were to describe it, or where does it come from?
I learned to fingerpick by borrowing my friends' acoustic guitars, and so I learned to. A folk singer taught me how to eventually do the 4 beats to the bar, ding, ding, digga, digga, ding, ding, digga, digga. So I played with my head on the guitar, or put the neck of the head of the guitar on the arm of a big chair, you know, playing, and made it louder. This is what everybody knows around here as the Spanish City. And I don't know who called it the Spanish City, and I don't know whose idea it was. But it was the first place where I heard rock and roll music played loud, really. And it was almost a physical shock to hear the music played that loud. And I realized it was music that was meant to be played loud. I wanted to be able to be one of the boys who worked on the waltzers and impress the girls and all of that. It did get the song going, the Tunnel of Love songs. I attempted to get the mood that it meant for me by putting the Skaters Waltz on the front. Because that's what I remember, just playing on the sand and hearing that tune. I get a real thrill out of the fact that they tell me here that they open the Spanish City every day with my music, with Tunnel of Love, which is pretty amazing. I think everybody at school thought that I was just going to be a write-off, because I was just a layabout that liked rock and roll. And rock and roll, if you liked rock and roll at my school, you know, they thought you were some sort of degenerate person that was going to end in tears. You know, the whole thing was going to end in tears. I remember one of my English teachers holding up a book, and I'd written on it, "The Kinks" in big letters, and he goes, "Knopfler, The Kinks," and he drops it on my head, you know, and you were humiliated really for liking rock and roll or being interested in something, you know, writing the names of rock and roll bands on your bags or on your books, you know. It was a rough book. It wasn't like a beautiful book. It was just a notebook, so it wasn't doing any harm writing on it.
Did that even give you more fuel to your ambitions?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine a teacher humiliating a kid for something he was interested in? I mean, teachers now wouldn't do that. Any teacher really who saw that a kid was interested in something, he used that as a key, yeah? Or a switch.
Do you, your children, do you?
I've got a guitarist and a drummer so far.
Do you encourage them to play?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fantastic, you know. And I try not to interfere, so I just hope that they just let them get on with it, you know.
So you don't give any advice, or?
Try not to. Yeah.
Is it hard to be in the back?
No, it's fine. They know what they're into, and it's great, you know. So it tickles me a lot when they play, and it's really fantastic.
Can you see you're creating the Knopflers in the?
No, but I would just stay away. I mean, they'll do what they do, but I mean, you know, that they don't talk about. You know, rather than being professional, they you know, their first choices are to be like one of the guys wants to be a professional skateboarder first, and the other one wants to be a professional footballer, so and play, you know, centre forward for Newcastle United. So, and so music, music's, you know, after that, a guitarist wants to be maybe a professional musician, and the drummer wants just to have it as a hobby, you know. And I heard one of his friends saying to him, you know, because they're only 12 years old, and he said, "You play drums like a god, Ben."
Here's one of the two of us in 1954. Don't laugh, I keep all of the pictures. Are you going to take a photograph? Here's something nice for you. A dear old thing came to a show. Last time here we did an interview on local radio.
You mentioned that you were a journalist in the early days.
Not a journalist, I was a kid reporter. I was what they call a cub. I don't know what they call them in Norway. What's a cub reporter in Norway? And so I wouldn't say journalist at all. I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay, why did you? Was it just by coincidence?
I thought it would be an interesting life. I had a horror of ending up like maybe my school teachers or something. I just had that kid's horror of and you know, there was a girl I was playing a bit of music with and strumming guitars with, and her older brother worked for a newspaper in Newcastle, and I thought it was glamorous. You know, I thought it would be more of an interest in life than most of the jobs that I could see that were around. Behind the flats where we lived is where we had our first gig with Squeeze, the Residents Association, kind of a little gig here, and some other little bands. There were a few little bands around there that were trying to imitate the first of the punk bands, and I remember them being very, very small and really very sweet. They were must have been about 15 years old, 14, 15 years old. And they came and they tuned up in our room, then they went up out on stage and started, and it was always those old songs always started 1, 2, 3, 4. I remember 1, 2, 3, 4. And the first line of the first song, "My old man is a." We just got lumped in with everything else because we were just a little four-piece then, and we had short hair and wore the same kind of kit. The people just thought we were touring with people like Talking Heads, and was great, you know. So we played in the same places and pretty much the same audiences.
gonna play there. And Grammy doesn't mind if he doesn't make that fancy scene. But daytime job, he doing quite alright, thank you very much. Doing a honky tonk just like anything. Sitting in a photo lighting with the Celtic, with the Celtics on swing. Send a crowd of boys, they just fooling around in the corner. Drunk with dressed in baggies and their best King's Roll.
We're in the room where we used to do an awful lot of rehearsing, and of course it's full of stuff now because it's more of a studio. When we were here, there was nothing here at all. It's amazing to me that all the rehearsal rooms nearly all the ones I've ever been in have all smelled the same, and they have the same sort of damp, sort of underfelty kind of sacking smell. This one's also got bits of the river. Bits of the Deptford River as well. I used to like to dream out of the window while I was playing and standing around. Rehearsing is quite hard work, really, and yet I think it's good if you've got something visual. A lot of studios and rehearsal rooms have no windows at all, but having this just seemed to help. When you're writing songs, it's quite nice to fool around with different keys and different tunings, and I found this one. It was just became a sort of introduction to Romeo and Juliet.
So your love struck Romeo, got a serenade, laying everybody low with a love song that you made. Find convenient street light, steps out of the shade. He says, you and me, babe, how about it? Juliet says, it's Romeo, nearly give me a heart attack. He's underneath the window, she's singing, hey, la, my boyfriend's back. You shouldn't come around here, saying up at people like that. Anyway, what you gonna do about it? Juliet, the dice was loaded from the start. Then I bet, yeah, and you exploded in my heart. And I forget the movie song. When you gonna realize it was just that the time was wrong? We come up on different streets, they both were streets of shame. Both dirty, both mean. Yeah, and the dream was just the same. I dreamed your dream for you, so now your dream is real. How can you look at me as if I'm just another one of your deals? When you can fall for chains of silver, you can fall for chains of gold. Fall for pretty strangers, and the promises that you hold. Promise me everything, yeah, you promised me thick and thin, yeah. Now you just say, oh, Romeo, yeah. You know, I used to have a scene with you, Juliet. When we made love, you used to cry. You said, I love you like the stars above. Oh, I love you, baby, till I die. There's a place can't do the talk, no, like they're talking on the TV. I can't do a love song like the way it's meant to be. I can't do everything, but I'll do anything for you. And I can't do anything except be in love with you. All I do is miss you, the way we used to be. And all I do is keep the beat, bad company. And all I do is kiss you through the bars of a wine. Truly I do the stars with you, baby. Anytime, but truly when we made love, you used to cry. You said I love you when the stars are above. Oh, I love you, baby, till I die. There's a place for us, you know the movie song. When you're gonna realize it was just that the time was wrong. Yeah, Julie.
I don't really get involved too much with the technical end of anything. I have trouble making toast. I can ride a motorcycle all right, and I can drive a car all right. So my coordination is pretty good.
Maserati 300S and the Fender Stratocaster. Both got to be red, really. I saw cars like this racing and in pictures and in books when I was little. You know, when I first saw Stirling Moss driving when I was about 9 or 10 years old. And I had this little observer book of cars. I've still got that book, you know. From playing with little ones, you know, little dinky toys and things like that, to just playing with real ones. You know, it's the bit of you that refuses to grow up, really, I suppose. For me, it's just relaxation. You know, I just find it really enjoyable. I've just got to focus completely on this.
But as far as getting involved with recording skills, I like to be really pretty much a dunce, because I like the idea of I pretend that I just want to concentrate on the music. See, and that gets me out of doing anything difficult. But I have developed a sort of love for recording very, you know, slowly, because I am a very slow learner, and I've developed a love for old microphones and for certain aspects of recording, you know, with nice old guitars and old mics and old amplifiers and placing of microphones and just little odds and ends. And I do like old Neve boards and soundboards, you know, and but again, at the same time, there's a lot of new stuff that I love, a lot really up-to-the-minute technology things. And I think if you use the best of that with the best of the old stuff, it works really well. You know, hard disk recording and lots of other things too are really excellent tools to use. I love using Pro Tools system with Guy, because it's a fantastic tool. It just really depends on how you use it. That's like all fantastic tools. It really just depends how, you know, what you do with it.
These mist-covered mountains are home now for me. but my home is the lowlands, and always will be. Someday you'll return to your valleys and your farms, and you'll no longer burn to be brothers in arms. Through these fields of destruction, baptisms of fire, I've witnessed your suffering as the battle reached high, and though it hurt me so bad, in the fear and alarm, you did not desert me, my brothers in arms.
First thing that happens is a kind of a reversal, because you think that you're looking at the world, and then you suddenly feel as though the world is looking at you, you know. So you have to get used to that. But people get used to anything, and I got used to it.
Are you comfortable with the fame and?
Yeah. It's a great life. You know, I love it.
rocking out there all right? Is it? Most fearless guitar player in America, Richard Bennett. Here's Paul Franklin.
You know, I'm really glad about the fact that there is no formula at all. I mean, that's one of the joys of it. If there was a formula, and then I wish I knew what it was, but there isn't one at all. And because they're so different, songs are so different. And why something should happen, I've no idea, because sometimes it's just a convergence of something. I might be reading something and I might be somewhere. What I'm doing with my life is, I think I'm actually cut out for it. It's the best thing, because I enjoy the whole cycle. You know, enjoy the writing, enjoy the rehearsing. I love the rehearsing, and enjoy the recording. So I enjoy playing.
The touring as well.
Yeah. So you've got to have, you know, I've got the constitution of a Volvo truck. When you have to take your own damn stage around the place, suddenly you realise that there are trucks needed just for that. You end up with this great big stupid lighting rig, then you end up with a massive crew, which actually was always fun, having a big crew, and I would always like to eat with a crew and hang out with a crew a lot of the time, but I never really felt as though it was me. You know, always liked, I'd be happier in a club. think when you've been fortunate, then it just follows on from that, doesn't it? It's and it's not something that it's difficult in the sense that if obviously if they need publicity, and then you might have to represent that, so you could be accused of standing on the shoulders of somebody else's misfortune. So you've got to be very careful of that. So everything is a balance in terms of that. Try to remain anonymous where you can, and where it's needed, like a Mandela kind of situation, then it's an effort to get a man out of prison, then you've got to just go on and do it. Somebody said to me one time, you ought to direct a film, if he can direct a film, you should direct a film. Well, I don't really have if the desire is not really there, then.
Spilling out and staggering in a square. There's lads and lasses falling about and a crackling in the air. Down around the dungeon doors, the shutters and the queues. Everybody's looking for somebody's arms to fall into. It's what it is. It's what it is now.
The song comes along, presents itself to you, you try to do your best thing by the song, and then I just set up little sessions where we'd do 2 or 3 songs, maybe 4 songs, come home again, work on some more, come back, and so on and so forth. And I was actually going backwards and forwards quite a lot because it was easier to go to America. Or sometimes we recorded in London, and sometimes in the States.
It's what it is now.
Seems that wherever I've lived, it's always been a river. Went from the Clyde to the Tyne and then the Thames. Here in Glasgow, I used to lie in bed. I used to live just a couple of 100 yards away from here. And I used to lie in bed and listen to the foghorns of the boats on the river. And I actually remember always trying to imitate the sounds. I was trying to imitate the sounds of foghorns on my guitar with a level pedal and trying to push them in. A few years ago, I was working with some Irish heavyweight players in Dublin, and I think they were all sitting about and we were playing, and said, "Is my Celtic music Irish or Scottish?" And they said, "Oh, it's Scottish." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, no, it's Scottish." "No, you can tell by the intervals. Whatever the intervals were, that's how they could tell. Maybe that's an interval." And
I'm certainly not a purist in any shape or form, and I would rather mess with it. I would rather, if you want to have a bluegrass in its pure form, then go and get a bluegrass in its pure form. And I would, if I was writing a bluegrass style of a song, I would then add machinery, dynamite, concrete mixers. I would have a demolition. I would always, I think back in you know, with Brothers in Arms, if I wrote a folk kind of song like The Man's Too Strong or something, I would then add, you know, machinery. You know, I'd change it and I'd make it something else happen, because it doesn't satisfy me necessarily just to reproduce a sort of a period piece, you know. It's not particularly exciting for me to do. And I'm not enough of an expert to really, I mean, I got to be reasonably familiar with city blues and country blues and different kinds of folk traditions, but I think if you want to have depth in your work, then it's important to go back to the roots and maybe listen to box sets, you know, and listen to your box sets, kids, you know. I think that's part of it, but it's not the whole story for me. You know, I wouldn't really want to be a purist. A Scottish thing, you know, just seems Scottish to me. I can't remember what key the song is now, but I think it's.
And don't you love the sound of a last laugh going down? Games you thought you'd learn, you neither lost nor won. Their dreams have crashed and burned. You still keep on keeping on.
The song, I mean, Van could have just should have maybe sung the whole song. Because I was thinking about, I had been talking to Van a little bit about here and there, just about maybe doing a project, we'd talked about making an album. And so maybe I was thinking about Van, but also it seemed to me that song sums up Van in some ways, his career, the fact that he's survived a lot, he's going on strong still, and a lot of the songs in the album are really about the kind of perseverance and kind of resilience, which is important, it seems to me. I'm always attracted to it, to people who cope in difficult circumstances sometimes, but kind of, there's a sort of a triumph in coming through and surviving it all, isn't there? Rather than giving up, you know. It's lovely to hear Van's voice. I mean, on the song that you've written, it reminds me of when we worked together in the 80s, and he asked if I'd go to San Francisco to work on something that he was doing, and we did things like cleaning windows, which I really liked, which is a fantastic song about Van, the street where Van was born, you know, and what he did, listening to Muddy Waters and things like that.
Of the last laugh going down.
You know, you have certain moments, you know, and I think again it's to do with childhood, you creating a circuit with the past, and I think it's little moments like that you know, you remember when you were a kid and what you wanted to be and what you wanted to have, and I don't know, you know, you wanted to have a Fender, I wanted to have my Fender, I wanted to have my Les Paul, and so things like that, and I still get tremendous enjoyment from the instruments, and you know, getting to play music with the people who you grew up with, so the songs, their voices are part of your furniture of your life, you know, they're the background all your life, you know, people like Bob and Van, you know, and they're the guys that were playing and singing behind my life when I was growing up. So when you're in the same room as them and they're playing, they're singing, you've got your phones on and their voices in, coming through and you're playing, it's a great feeling.